Morning, guys. It's Wednesday morning, and we're out here at the shop, and today's job is this GMC right here, Suburban, whatever you want to call it, Yukon, and we are going to be installing a Hideaway strobe light kit for the headlights and possibly marker lights on the front of this. This is a funeral procession vehicle, and we've got our strobe head unit here, which will do up to 6, looks like 6 strobe heads. We're not doing the tail lights in these vehicles, just the front ends. Did one 2 days ago, and it came out pretty cool, but I couldn't get that uploaded for you because the video card was in the computer rendering the other video. So here's the bulbs, and basically, we got 4 sets of cables here. All that, some Permaseal connectors. I don't know if you guys have ever used these. This is a fairly pricey kit, but these are heat shrink connectors. Like there's a 10 gauge butt connector, and it's heat shrink with the adhesive inside of it. So those are all weather tight connectors. I like that. I bought that kit maybe a year ago, and I think I paid $200 for it. But it came with a lot of connectors. So we got all that. Basically what we have to do is we have to pop these headlights out, and we have to drill a 1-inch hole in the back side of the reflector, and we'll pop these strobe units in, and I'll take one out and show you here real quick, and we'll set the tripod up and let this one fly, let you guys watch a little bit of it. Sorry for the shaky cam, I'm trying to get this light out of the box. But basically, this is what you got. You've got this little strobe light right here, and you have to drill a hole. It's got a little gasket on it, and then it's held in on the back side by those 2 little screws into the existing light reflector. So you want to be careful probably not to touch the lens of that bulb when you're doing this. So I'll show you how these headlights come out here. I forget what year this truck is. I want to say 04, one of 04. So it's a 9-year-old truck, and it's only got 38,000 miles on it, and it was bought used with low miles on it, so it's a real nice unit. So that's kind of where we're at. This truck is all-wheel drive. We're claiming some problems with the traction control light coming on, which I was thinking wheel speed sensor, but it didn't act up on me on the drive over here, so not exactly sure on that. So here we go. To pull the headlights out, you have these on the GMs. I'm gonna put you guys on the stand here rather than shaking you up and making you sick. So we're going to pull those legs to the side, and they lift straight up. Okay. We'll set those off to the side, of course, and now we'll zoom back out. And basically, this is all you got to do. Is just kind of wiggle and jiggle. Normally, what the hell's holding this one up? Okay, and we're actually going to take the plugs right off the bulbs on the back of these. I'll probably go get a little flat screwdriver here. I'll pry the tabs up on these bulbs. Kind of like, you see that, and you lift up on that and slide it backwards. try and minimize customized setting stuff on this bumper. I forgot it's got a painted trim on the top of it. Okay, plugs are out. So we're going to get both of these on the go here so you guys can basically see the process. So I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's video. I know it was basically just getting it clear on those fenders, but still getting a lot of comments on those things that I think are second nature to me. So I'll keep putting them up as long as you guys keep liking that kind. At least as long as I'm doing that kind of work. And as far as this job goes, this is probably the easiest part of the job. The hardest part is actually getting the wiring into the truck. So we'll get those two things off. And the next thing I'm going to do, I really kind of wanted to put the strobes in the fog lights, but the fog light is so tiny and they're so hard to get off. I haven't decided yet. So you'd have a set up a little bit higher and a set down low, because putting them in the parking light, although it would be fairly easy for me to do, I'm not sure if I want to have them stacked that close together. Seems kind of pointless, but the other problem is with the fog lights, they go bad so frequently. It's almost not worth putting them in the fog lights on the GMs, because you're always replacing them. So you have to keep remounting the bulbs. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this plastic trim off up here. I'll show you guys how that comes apart. Basically, you have a button. They're self-explanatory to me. This button pulls up, and then you get your trim tool under the bottom, and you raise that up. So we'll pop this off. This is pretty quick too if you don't drop the stuff on the floor. And made a comment yesterday about when I was clearing those fenders about running it, and I ran the top of one of them. I was trying to blow paint in between the hood gap and the top of the fender gap, and I just couldn't get it in there in one spot, and I kept bombing it on there. It's actually a really small run, but I ran it, so even the guy who does it a lot screws it up. Still trying to get the hang of that gun before I buy it. Plus they told me to hang on to it for a while. It's their demo and nobody else is asking to demo it, so that's pretty cool. The other thing you can do is you can pop the tabs up in the top and just pick the whole panel up. It'll usually pull right out. So there we go, that's off, and that's going to allow me access to run my wiring, because we're actually going to run the wiring across and run it up along through here underneath this hood latch support, through here and then back down in here so I can run it up along the fender and get it inside the truck. So we'll get that going here. And basically next thing I'm going to do is drill a couple of holes in the headlights. I'll show you how to do that. first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the bulbs out. So we got, you know, your high and low beam bulbs, those just twist out. Of course, it would have been a great time to check to make sure these bulbs are okay, so that you don't have any issues putting it back together and find out it's got burned out bulbs in it when we could have changed them very easily. Okay. Now, these are just a touch different than the Chevrolet version. Put them in the low beam side of the Chevrolet ones, and you may have to come up with an alternate plan for for these, because basically you need to put them. Maybe take the camera off the stand here, and I'll show you what I'm doing. That bulb needs to be pretty much right there, and it's going to be hard to get them in there. According to the directions, you want to keep them along the same center line as the headlight bulb itself. I guess I could put it out in the high beam side, which shouldn't be a problem. Looks like there's plenty of room there. However, you got to remember that that bulb does take up a certain amount of room, and if the headlight lens has a tight fit in the opening, the back of that bulb may hit, but I think we'll actually be okay. This is the passenger side. Feel for that. Oh, actually, we can put that right in the high beam. There'd be no problems. I really like it in the low beam side because it's out farther. High beam is in the center. So I'm going to do a little investigation. Maybe I'll dismantle this light and put it in the low beam side. So I'll turn you back on in a couple minutes when I figure that out. Okay guys, upon some quick further research, we're actually going to mount the bulb in the high beam side. I want to do it in the low beam side, but without trying to disassemble this bracket that has rusty adjuster screws on it, I'm trying to twist these plastic locks out. We're going to put it in the high beam side. One nice thing about the high beam side, I was reading real quick, is that when the headlights are on, the regular low beams are on, the light from the strobe doesn't get to be as bright because it's sharing the reflector from the low beam. So we're going to put them in the high beam just because this is a GMC and it's a little bit different style light. They also say you can put them in from the bottom, which would be this side, but I like keeping them toward the center, just from what I've read. So let's get you guys up here. And I've got, it calls for a 1-inch hole saw, but I only have a 7/8 and an 1 1/8. And the way I did the last ones, it worked out sweet. I used the 7/8 and then I used a reamer, and it takes all the burr off the inside edge when you ream them out to the proper size. So one thing you don't want to do is push hard on this, or you'll rip the reflector part that's on the inside. There we go. So now we have a hole in that. I gotta turn the air on to run the air tools. that. Look at that. I'm getting tangled up here. So we're going to take this guy right here, little carbide burr. We're going to open that hole up a little bit because the strobe tube is not going to fit in there just yet. The hole's just a little too small. Zoom you guys back out a little bit here. We'll just ream it a little bit, we'll check it, and as soon as we got a good fit, then we'll just stop. We got a little ways to go. Basically, we have 1/8 of an inch to make up. Now, I could have drilled the hole larger at 1 1/8 inch, but the problem is the mounting screw locations on these are real close to the center of that bulb. So you don't have a lot of room to mess with. Go a little bit farther and we'll be able to install this bulb. Safety glasses would probably be a good idea. And almost. A little bit farther, about that much more. Okay, so there we go. We got a nice fit in there. Now we'll have to drill 2 holes for the securing screws. I'll show you how to do one, and I'll stop the video and do the other one. And if we decide to rip a fog light out and go that route, then I'll show you how to do those. I didn't do them on the last one, but I'm thinking it'd be nice to have stuff for the lower corners of the vehicle to get a little more light out there. So I'll go get some drill bits and we'll get that drilled. And it's time to buy some more drill bits because I've got a lot of broken ones in my little kit here that I use day to day. And let's see, we got to find the mounting screws so I remember what size those are. Here we go. They're not real big with the screw, so I'm thinking those were in the maybe 9/64ths. No, that's a little bit. Maybe it's 7/64ths. I like them a little tight going in, just so they have something to bite on. They are a self-tapping type screw, but being a plastic lens, we don't want to force it too hard and run the risk of breaking it out. Double check the orientation of this bulb here and decide which way it needs to be, because I really don't want the pigtail wires facing toward the grill if I don't have to. Up is always an option. course I'm trying to put it in the wrong side. That should work out just fine. We'll go ahead and get these drilled. Alright. You guys are going to have a long one today, fellas. Grab a Phillips screwdriver and start one of those screws to make sure it stays aligned. Then we'll drill the second hole, and then I'm going to take the blowgun and I'll blow any debris that fell into that. Start that screw so we know we stay aligned. We'll drill the second hole. Okay, we're going to remove that strobe tube. Take a blowgun, we're going to blow all the trash out of that light fixture. Like that's going to be a pretty clean setup there, so we'll stop at that. There's no major burrs on the inside of this lamp. So you can see from the front side, there's where our secondary hole is there on the left. There's a little bit of stuff on the outside of the lamp, but we'll go ahead and get this fixture mounted. There's a little gasket that goes on the back of this because a lot of the lights are rounded, so this will take up any gap and seal that off. Some guys will silicone them to keep water out of the bulbs. I think this will be okay. That screw, figure out where I set the other screw. Which is usually half the battle. That's why I set up this work table instead of just throwing stuff on the floor, because misplace them quickly. Alright, well, we'll secure this, and I'll find that screw off camera because that could take me several minutes. Okay, that's a start. So you see, basically that's what we have right there. You flip the light around, so you have a strobe tube coming through there, and we'll put a light bulb back in there and show you that it doesn't come anywhere near contacting it. That's kind of what you want. So I'll shut this down and we'll get the rest of them done, and we'll start with the next step. Okay, there's just a quickie of having it in. I've got it wired up with just some alligator clips real quick, and that's with just the strobe in the headlight, which is pretty obnoxious. You know, that's a good warning signal. So we'll see if we can't take the fogs out and get a low set going on this too. Bring you back in a couple minutes here. Basically what I have done is I just jumped it straight off the battery, and it's got a fuse in it right there, so we're good. And you can adjust the pattern on these, but they kind of like it just to be normal. That's enough for them. So before you guys start having seizures, I'm going to turn this off. So, okay guys, you saw the beginning of the install on how to drill all the lights out, and basically what I had done is run that wiring, and we got them all in. I'll show you where I mounted stuff real quick here, and I actually had somebody come out and give me a hand for a couple hours who didn't want to be on camera. So here's what we got. And it's funny that the camera doesn't like to pick that up. The camera won't pick up all the strobes. It's picking them up here and there, but there you can sort of see them. So that's where we're at. And I mounted the switch right there, and the unit is way up in this corner, tucked high up in there, out of the way of the pedals and things like that. And it is a snug fit in there. They tell you to mount those things out of the weather, so that's why I did that. And we didn't shorten the cables. Left the cables at length just in case they want to pull these out and put them in another vehicle someday and not buy new cables. But here's kind of my fix for a side terminal battery, so you can put a ring terminal on it. We do this with the snow plows. Take a 3/8 bolt and put 2 jam nuts on it, and you bottom out this bolt into the threads of the battery, and then you tighten the inner down till it gives you a nice snug connection. And it also gives you something better to put your jumper cables on. And fortunately there's no metal behind this, so if this battery were to jump, it has nothing to ground out against. So I like doing them that way. It just tends to work pretty good. The other thing we could have done is go over to that jump start point and put it in there, and then I would have had to found a separate ground. They really want these grounded right to the battery for whatever their reasoning is, which I'm fine with that, you know. So that's about it. It's just a tedious job. It was still about a 6-hour job for me to do all that, and probably 3.5 of it was trying to get that that control unit tucked away where it needs to be. And of course, to get all done, I start the truck up. We got a check engine light now, which I have no conceivable idea on what that could be. I don't have a scanner here today, so we're going to run it up to AutoZone or something like that and have them check it just to see what's going on. Truck doesn't run bad, so it might have got aggravated with me because I unplugged a couple harnesses and I turned the key on to press the brake pedal and pull the shifter down to get the dash bezel off, so it may be upset with me over that, but Who knows? Not exactly sure. Sometimes these things get angry when you disconnect the battery and or unplug things and then cycle the key on. Of course, I unplugged the battery after we pulled the shifter down and all that. The battery has to be on because you have to depress the brake pedal in order to pull the shifter down. So you can't do it if you're not depressing the brake pedal. So there's an electronic switch that will allow that to happen. So, alright guys, well, hope you enjoyed this little kind of what happened here at the shop today. Not a lot of how-to, but it was kind of what was going on. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next one.